Today is so exciting because today marks the first day of me going live weekly on Fridays. But in order to do so, I need to switch quickly to Instagram. And here's the thing, I have no clue whether or not Instagram is going to work or if Instagram is going to give me hell, as in a minute I won't be audible anymore. But the good news is StreamYard will tell me when I'm not audible. So today we are going to talk about this mindset, message, and model when it comes to courage. So in the last week, I've been talking about these topics when it came to courage. In the last month of January, I've been talking about courage. And ever since December 1st, I have been going live on Instagram every day. And honestly, I'm proud of it. So we have two shoulders, and I'll let myself know I'm proud of myself because honestly, when it came to December, I was like, okay, well, December, I'm going to talk about energy. You know, it's the dark month and nights are getting longer, days are getting shorter. It's Christmas. A lot of people are not happy when it comes to Christmas. You know, they've lost loved ones, family, and sometimes they're just simply on their own. There are also people who just don't like all the changes and like it when it's normal again. So I was like, okay, that works. Energy. How can we muster up the energy to, get through that month, which is cold and so immensely dark? And then there was energy as in, oh, but the end of the year, of course, New Year's challenge. And I was like, okay, I don't want to talk about New Year's resolutions because New Year's resolutions, we have those every year. But I do want to give people an energy boost to start the year strong, finish the year strong, 2023, and start the year strong, 2024. And so that's what I did. I decided to go for that energy boost. And I ended last year with a three day challenge. I was like, 3 day challenge, yes. Which of course had to do with the new year, and it was called the New Year's challenge. So here I had the Christmas challenge, challenging myself to post every day. And then it was January, and I was like, hey, hang on, I'm not done yet. So January is for me the month related to courage. And like I said, going live or posting something every day on Instagram during December was easy. But was I able to actually talk every day about courage? That was the one thing I was wondering. Can I do that? Can I talk about courage every single day? And well, it's the 19th, and up till now, I've made it. So yes, I can do it. And I think I've posted the 50th, or I'm about to post the 50th day. So yeah, that's something I didn't expect. And when we talk about courage, oh my God, that's a huge one. So from I'm going to do a challenge every month, I'm going to go live not necessarily live. I post something on Instagram every day. And then just recently I said, you know what? I'm going to go live every Friday. So I've done it for 9 months in 2022. I started at the beginning of January, and I stopped at the beginning of September when I went to Chicago with a friend of mine, Cheeky Joe. We had a great time, but it was a lot of hassle to actually go live and get the things done. Totally different environment, and also circumstances changed. The funny thing is that I did go to Chicago again, and there I met Chiki Joe and her daughter, Call Me Anything, and we made it work. Not that I went live, as in like now here on YouTube, Facebook, all that, all those various platforms, but we did go live. I did go live, as in I did my live group coaching sessions, I did my one-on-ones, and learning from last year, I was like, okay, this is not going to happen again this year. So last year, because it's 2024 by now, I had a change. So that's good. Now, getting back to the whole courage thing, let's take it one step further. I was like, okay, I know I want to go live every week. I know I need to go live every week. But when? So I always went live on Wednesdays, and then Brendan Burchard, one of my role models, next to Evan Carmichael, those, I don't know which one. I think they share the number one spot. Even though I have to admit, I follow Brendan a lot longer. And due to Brendan, I actually got to meet. Yes, I danced with Evan Carmichael. I'm not sure he remembers actually, but I do. And and then I was like, hey, someone knows something about YouTube. I need to know more about YouTube. And that's how I started following Evan. And Evan is a great guy. And he has helped me tremendously with so many things with regards to YouTube. Now, his philosophy is post minimally one time a week, and if possible, go and post 2 to 3 times a week. By going live regularly on Instagram, so it depends a little bit on what I have to share and how tired I am, and the way I look, whether or not I want to go live on Instagram. It's, one can on one hand say it takes a lot of time to go live, because then you need to edit it. I mean, there's a beginning, there's an end. It needs to fit the right format, because if I record it, it's usually in Instagram format, as in vertical, and then I make it into a square, and then I have to add a background if I also want to post it on YouTube. Then there's always filter, making it a little bit like vintage look and making my hair look a little bit more blue. I mean, it's blue, but you don't always see it. So that's, there's work involved. Let's put it that way. On the other hand, if I use the postcards or the cards with text on it, I've discovered this tune, and everybody seems to love it. I keep hearing it again and again. Oh, that's such a nice tune. I use it. It's max half a minute, and I create usually a number of cards. I use them to tell the story. I might repeat that story and then finish with like a bang at the end. And, that takes time too, because I know by now it's 1.6 or 1.7 seconds for the next card shows up, but still there's a lot of work involved. So depending on what I feel like and how much time I want to spend, I either just go live, then it's over and done with, well, almost, or I make the cards. But regardless, I'm getting out there. So that's the thing. Now, this week during my group coaching call, we talked about the message and the story. So what is the message you want to get across? And when I was thinking about what do I want to share? What do I want to share weekly on YouTube Live, on Facebook? I was like, well, I'm posting every day on Instagram, so let's see what I've posted. And so I was sitting and I was like, okay, so how does this all combine together? And that's how I came up with this thing. Well, this thing, actually, there is something cool about it, which is, well, there are two things cool about it. First of all, it's a framework. And you don't know this, but I've been wanting to do a framework for a long time now. And Cheeky Joe is there. Oh, I love that when she's here. Um, I guess that means that the microphone still works. I didn't get a message from Instagram, so I guess we're good to go. But the framework, I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes when you look at my name, there's CHPC behind it, which means Certified High Performing Coach. That's a license or a certification that's been given by Brendan Burchard. So I'm following his program, and I need to re-certify every year. So we get training, we talk about it a lot. So that's it's nice. It's actually kind of nice to work with other coaches on such a level. And he talked about this framework. And before I started doing CHPC, I was like, I want to do CHPC. First of all, because I want to know if the way I'm coaching is the right way. Fortunately for me, I'm good to go. Of course, it can always improve. And I dare say I've been improving things. And one of the things is getting these it's all so funny. These frameworks out there, also getting PDFs out there. So every time that I've done a live, whether it's in the group coaching session or something else, I also create a PDF. But he didn't tell about the framework and how to make it. Yeah, he told about his framework, but he didn't tell us how to make our own. And I was like, So when I went to Austin last October, September, yes, September. I was like, hey, I went there for the coaching summit that he gave, and then he shared it. He shared the framework. So basically, it was based on our own experience, our own stories. And fast forwarding till not too long ago, he then said, well, you should make a framework every time you go live and you have something to share. And I was like, yes, I agree with you. I like that. So ever since, I've been making frameworks. Now, what's so nice about this one? This one actually portrays everything I've been talking about this last week. And I'm going to start with message, actually. So message is what we get out there. The message is the message I want to get across. So I stand up for people, as in I teach them to speak up, speak out, and share their story. And one of the things I want people to be heard. I want them to be seen. I want them to be understood. Because I know how difficult it is if you are on the side. And when I posted earlier this week, one message particularly was about me speaking up, and it had to do with the underdog. And so I'm in this group. It's an amazing group. I love the group. Let me be very specific about this. It's the first group that I feel welcome in. If I ask a question, I get an answer, which is kind of new. And you can tell who the people are who are familiar with the game. So we're talking about Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go helps me to go outside and walk and exercise. And for those who do not know, in 2014, I tripped on a brick, and that was the end of the story. For years on end, I couldn't stand on 2 feet. And up till now, I still cannot walk like I did before. So fortunately, I can stand on 2 feet again, thanks to 2 surgeries, and one specifically. Her name is Bella van Dalen. She was the doctor who actually listened to me. She was the surgeon who did the second surgery on my ankle. And she made it happen for me to be able to get back on my bike again, to jump a little bit every now and then, and to walk. Yes, it's still short distances. Not having been able to walk for such a long time has had its impact. Well, the good news is, look on an MRI and you don't see it. Oh, I'm kind of proud of that part. So when people are not hurt, like I was not hurt when I went to the number of surgeons that I have seen related to my ankle, there was so much frustration. And, I think I screamed, I cried, I begged, I probably did everything. Now, what helped wasn't any of that. What helped was clarity. So I was there with a friend, and that friend, we just recorded everything. We took pictures, we marked everything. She was there on the phone when I was there talking to that one person, Bella van Dalen, to explain what she had seen on the MRI. And it worked. And, when I started to look up people who knew about this problem with my ankle, I saw she was specialized in this part. So I'm happy I went to see her. So the first one stitched up my ligament in my ankle, but what she did is she fixed 2 bones to one another. So the tendon attached to one of the bones couldn't move anymore together with the bone. And they moved like an inch or more. And I can tell you that hurts really badly. So fast forwarding, here I am. And I know what it's like when people don't understand you, when people are like, I don't care what you do. I don't care what you need, as long as we can move forward. So in this group, there are a lot of new people, which is cool. We need new blood. Having said that, I'm new blood too. I mean, I've only been doing this for half a year. And even though I was the first one to be invited, it's still relatively new. But here's the thing. I like structure. I am on one half of me is completely chaotic, and the other half of me is absolutely structured. And people who know me can vouch for this. Yes, I can be very chaotic, but on the other hand, I have certain things, I have certain structure, and I like it the way it is. And the same applies to when we are raiding in Pokemon. So we're talking about gaming, so of course, raiding. And well, we need to fight the monster in order to be able to collect the monster, or the Pokemon in this case. So there's a set of rules. I didn't even come up with it. Someone else did, but it totally made sense. And that's when a Pokemon doesn't just come to existence. It starts with an egg, really. Yes, an egg needs to be hatched. So what we see is that somewhere at some location, they call that a Pokestop, an egg is going to be hatched. Well, you want to do this raid with multiple people in order to be able to conquer that Pokemon. So what we do is we create a list, and then people know, oh, this is about this Pokemon, and we are going to fight for this Pokemon. And then, at the end of it, when we have won, we still need to catch the Pokemon. And hopefully we do it. Hopefully it has good rates, good points. And if it's a shiny, so a little bit different, then And apparently there's something called a shundo, so shiny hundo, and that's the summon. So the new person is, I'm a moderator nowadays. Let me explain that. No, never chaotic. Right. I'm sorry, I'm reading what Cheeky Joe is saying. um, so the new one has this habit of taking a picture of the not yet hatched egg. Well, for the more experienced among us, they know just by looking at the color which one it's going to be. I'm not that one who is experienced, so I need to ask the others. And well, the rule is you post a hatched egg, so we see what it is. She does the opposite. She posts an egg that still needs to hatch, which can take up till half an hour, sometimes even longer. So I don't agree with that, because if other people want to host a raid, she basically blocks it, because you come in and you get queued up. Makes sense. Of course, the exception is when someone only has like a few minutes, but because there's list attached to each Pokemon raid, you want to do it in the right order, and you don't want people to start posting their names for a different list when one is still going on or is about to go on. So that's the thing. And that's why I'm talking about, hey, rules. Rules are there for a reason. Let's follow them. And then we get to speaking up and about the outsiders, because there's a story to this. So I regularly post rules. I mean, as I said, I'm a moderator, so that's okay. And I am there to keep an eye on things. That's what I learned from the one who set it all up. And then when I ask people, please post once it's hatched, and they don't do it, and then I explain why, and they still don't listen, and then I message them privately, and still no response, well, that doesn't sit well with me. Because, you get it, I'm about being heard, seen, and understood. I'm not heard, I'm not seen, and I'm most certainly not understood. So, oops. So what do? I talk to other people. I find support. And actually, that one was a bit disappointing. Not a bit. It was very disappointing. So the one who invited me, he didn't see my request for support, but someone else did. She's new too. And she literally said, well, as long as the majority doesn't have a problem, then we don't care about that single individual. And that's not what the one who set it up had in mind. I'm pretty sure he didn't, because he knows there are a lot of people who need that structure, who have autism, who otherwise will withdraw. And I was like, I don't like what you're saying here. But I also said something else. Well, you can wait for it. At some point, this is going to cause chaos. And it did. At some point, someone was like, oh, what's going on? Is there a raid? And then everybody started to send emojis, and then no one understood what was going on anymore. Because not only did she not post the hatched egg, she also did not say, I'm going in. So no one knew what was happening. And of course you can say, well, there was not much going on at that time. But, at the moment that it gets busy, then it is going to be chaotic. And I'd seen it before. And, well, when I saw the other people, like, I'm confused. And they started to apologize, whereas they had done nothing wrong. I was like, see? But yeah, that's basically the story of my life. I usually can sort of predict based on logic what is going to happen. It's just a question of, observing, and then there's an answer. So if I tell people to speak up and speak out, then I also need to share my message. I need to stand for who I am. So I know that my message is about speaking up and speaking out. But I also someone who shows people that I actually do it. I mean, there's nothing more disappointing than saying one thing and doing another. So, one of the other things when it came to speaking out, speaking up and speaking out, was I actually went 2 doors down last week. They apparently have learned from it. Today I do hear the bass, but I don't hear the rest of the music. And last week, when I started knocking on their window on the beat, I heard everything. And, when it starts with a keyboard tune and then later on the beat comes and all that stuff, it felt for me like, oh, someone is trying to learn keyboard here. So I have a very creative mind. Of course, I knew they were not playing the keyboard over there, but it just sounded like that. So I went there, the youngest one, and the other one, patient, got me. We got to talk to one another. It was a short conversation. And the result is that today they're here again. And yes, I do hear the bass, but I do not hear the rest. So now it's up to me to be patient, calm down, quiet, because they're doing and they're young. So I also need to give them their space. I mean, I know what it's like, especially being part of a musical family. I don't think I need to say much more, do I? The other thing that, and then I'm going to combine it all. The other thing that happened was I talked to a lot of people, and one of them said, I need to learn to be less harsh on myself. I need to give myself grace. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, yes, there are mindsets, lots of mindsets, which keep us from being kind to ourselves. There are also a lot of mindsets which are linked to courage. So starting with the first one, Mel Robbins, she posted a challenge a while ago. Every now and then it's out there, and it was like high five yourself in the mirror. So if I'm looking at you and I ask you, do you dare to look in the mirror and smile and tell yourself, hey, I love you? Do you? A lot of people don't dare to appear on camera because they feel like I'm not good enough. And truth be told, when I started to do my first videos, which of course were not on a phone, but were on an actual, I'm looking if I can find one, on the actual camera, then you had to turn the camera around to look like, oh yeah, it's recording. So you basically went to the other side of the camera and then you went back to your chair again. And then I was like, okay, I think I can see it all. Okay. So then you knew, hit record. Nowadays, of course, that's different. I can see myself if I want to. So I'm used to looking in the camera lens, so that's good. But, if needed, I can check myself. And especially at the beginning of a show, I can check myself, which is very nice. But I had to learn that. And nowadays, I'm pretty comfortable with myself. So one of the things that I talked about when it came to courage was, okay, here I am. I don't think I look my best yet. I can look better. I don't like it when I'm wearing my glasses. Yes, I have several pairs of glasses. So the one who pays attention knows I've got red glasses, blue ones, and a pair of black ones with orange. And I've had several before that. I guess that I'm going to challenge Jo a little bit. If she knows that I have several pair of glasses, and they all have each function. And thank you, she says, you look amazing, woman. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Cheeky Jo. If you haven't seen her, she has the most amazing light blue eyes. And if you have seen her, you'll remember. That's, it's amazing. On top of that, she's a very sweet woman. She has 2 grandchildren. And I can tell why her children are that sweet just looking at the grandchildren. She's one amazing lady. Okay, so getting back to being harsh on oneself. And so it all has to do with a certain programming. So my programming is I'm not good enough. So basically, this is so funny. I love it when she's actually commenting because that gives me a little bit of an energy vibe. When I look well, yeah, well, no, her blue eyes are always amazing. So my brother was the oldest one. I'm the youngest one. He was the only boy, and he was very organized and very disciplined. I can be organized. I mean, I have all my CDs in alphabetical order, as in per group. So the groups are in alphabetical order, and per group it's in order of year. Yes, I am organized when I want to be and when I can actually have overview. And it was also a necessity because otherwise I didn't know where to find my CDs, since I have a couple of hundred of those. I did the same with my concert shirts. Those are, yes, alphabetically organized, but not with year. That's a little bit too much. But usually 90%, 95 is alphabetically organized, and then maybe there are like 4 or 5 that I've just washed, and so they still need to be put in the right place. Also, when you look at my phone, you see all these folders on my phone. So I don't like it when my apps are shattered all over the phone. I want to know where I can find them. So I've got a folder traffic, I've got a folder travel, I've got a folder office, and so on. So Cheeky Joe, in case you're going to say you, not chaotic, then please also know that I do have some structure in me. And she does that too, by the way. So with that mindset, I was always a little behind when it came to my brother. He was the straight A student. I wasn't. And there were more than one reasons that I wasn't. And one of this has to do with the chaotic part in me, the hyper part in me. So when I want to do things quickly, I tend to miss certain things. It took me years, literally years, before I realized that I didn't write initiative. I wrote initiative. And because I gave training and then wrote down the word initiative instead of initiative, people pointed it out to me. And I was like, oh. And then I realized that it happened more often, that I would leave out certain parts of a word, just like my dad did, actually. And I realized, oh, okay, there's more going on than meets the eye. And, so there were things that were easy for me, and there were things which were a little bit harder for me because I would literally remember things where they were on the page. That didn't mean I understood them. It just meant I learned them and I could get a good grade. So doing Spanish nowadays, I can tell when I'm getting tired and I can tell when I'm getting sloppy. So it's not about not knowing, it's about fatigue and being sloppy, rushing things. So the other thing was that my mom, and she said this before she died, she actually said, oh, you were only an average student. And I looked at her, what? And she said, you never did your homework. You were always late with your homework. See the discipline. It was true. When I did my homework, when I was in class, when during class, I was already doing my homework for the next lesson. So yeah, I didn't have to be as disciplined because usually I would have done it already. But still that mindset, I'm not good enough. So first of all, I was a girl, so we need to be protected versus when you are a guy. And then, of course, there was a difference in discipline. And again, he was a straight A student. And he actually had grades with cum laude. And well, I didn't. As simple as that part. So then try to, first of all, figure out that there is this message, I'm not good enough. So I knew I had a bottomless jar when it came to appreciation. So you basically can throw in appreciation all you want. And then, oh, well, let's add some more. Oh, it's gone again, you know? But the part of me not being good enough, that's what I found out during the Dickens process that Tony Robbins taught us 30,000 people in the Excel in London. And I do have some fancy videos about the Excel of me being pushed in a wheelchair across the Excel bridge. And that was so nice because the guy behind the wheelchair was like, I want to run with you across the Excel bridge. And I said, well, why don't you? Well, I'm going to get you in trouble. I said, well, not if I like it. So there you went. And I started screaming and encouraging him like, go, go, go. And then people started to look up. And then when he got back, they gave him a huge applause. So awesome. So getting back to that whole thing, when I realized that that was at the basis of almost anything, then I was able to change certain things. And nowadays, and it's actually shown when you look at Instagram last week, I don't really care what you are going to say. So I do care when my hair isn't blue enough. Yes, I do care. I also care if my clothes are torn up or something along those lines, or if I would smell, but I don't care about the way I dress. So I now know that I dress like a skater, so casual, comfortable. But it was kind of funny to actually experience. And again, that was when I was the last time in Chicago, and I was there with Chicky Joe and her daughter, Call Me Anything. That's when we went to this skater store, and I realized, oh my God, I recognize all these clothes. That was so funny. So apparently people who are into metal music, that overlaps if it's not almost entirely the same with what skaters wear, with the exception that when they go on stage, it is usually it has some special, unique effect to it, whether it's a gothic look or more belts or whatever it is. So I'm pretty comfortable with the way I look. So when we go to the part model at the bottom, yeah, there it is. Model is about, could you be a role model for others who are a role model for you, but can you be a role model for others? So do you talk the way you talk? Do you walk the way you walk? Do you talk the way you talk the way? No, you know what I'm getting at. Talk the talk, walk the walk. That's it. And you cannot say one thing and then not do it. That's just not correct. So it's important that when you have a message and you have a story to share, that you can actually share that story because you are comfortable enough sharing it. Now, of course, there can be stories in many ways, and everyone can decide how open they want to be. I'm pretty open with, having said that, I do want to protect my clients. I don't want people to be able to track to other people. And also, when it comes to certain people, I don't want to badmouth them. I just don't. It's about respect. And because the whole idea behind speaking up and speaking out is we want to be heard, seen, and understood. So we want to be respected. So that works both ways. So when I saw that message about, yeah, I need to be less harsh on myself, I need to give myself grace, it also took me to the place where a lot of my clients are, or at least used to be. So when we talk about people, you could say fall into the category linked to inclusion. So you do not fit in and do not feel at ease. They want to turn off that switch only if it's like for a second. And how do we do that? Well, if you're a little bit older, you usually or you pop some pills or you do other stuff. When you're younger, you usually cut yourself. So what you do basically is you use something in order to forget the mental pain. So you inflict physical pain, or you just make sure that your mind no longer is going to harass you, which is what you do when you drink alcohol. That eventually distracts you too. That's a whole different ball game. So yeah. So getting back to people and what they tell themselves and being respected, being heard, seen, and understood. I know what people do. I know what people do when they are mad at themselves because they're not perfect. And let me tell you one thing: when you're doing videos, well, exceptions being there, we are not perfect. Um, and yes, I could not do this because the background is too chaotic. And I could not record when I'm wearing my glasses because, well, I could look better. And I could not record when I'm tired because, well, I want to look fresh and energetic and everything. Or I can say, I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm just going to create that energy on the spot. That's usually what I do. Um, I had to learn that, by the way. I couldn't do that. I had to learn to literally, we go live. No, there we go. Of course, you can tell when I'm tired because I talk differently. I have to search for words more. And, today I was recording this video and there was a lot of in there. So I actually checked, in this case, with Cheeks Joe. Like, what do you think? Do you think I post it? Yes, you can post it. Okay, thank you. So, yes, I do look for support in order to figure out, do I worry about nothing? Do I cross the line in some cases? All those kind of things. And it was nice to hear that I did good. It was what I expected, but I wasn't certain. So sometimes you need, that little nudge in the back. Now, if we combine all of this, the whole thing about mindsets, a lot of stuff actually shows up in different areas of our life. When I recorded this video this week about what I do and tell myself, or better said, what I don't do, because we tend to focus on what's not going right and what could happen, and then we tend to stack. And no, I didn't come up with the whole thing about stacking things. It was at Mills, at I'm sorry, at my lad. That's it. he's going live twice a month together with Brandon Burchard, and I have to say, I love the guy. He's amazing. But it's true. We tend to focus on that one negative thing, and then we make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until we have no argument left practically to actually go do it, because we've listed everything that can go wrong. Well, I've learned a long time ago that I need to turn that around. So one of those things is when, for instance, well, I just told you I've got glasses. Well, I've got very bad eyesight, which means that when I'm wearing glasses, I still don't see the same thing as when I'm wearing contacts. So usually I have like 100% or more vision wearing contact lenses. That's not the case when I'm wearing my glasses. So I've been struggling for a while now how to do it when driving at night. So my night vision is not that good, and so what happens is my pupils open up. Then there's a lot of light from the headlights, which wants to come in, and well, I actually just want to get away from that light. It's very annoying. So I have been searching how to work with that. Now, of course, the easy solution and the cheapest solution probably would be then don't drive at night. You know, duh. And then I'm here, stubborn me. Well, no, I want to go to concerts, and they are often in the south of the country. So if I want to drive back home, I want to drive back home. Well, when they're like 2, 3 hours driving, sometimes even an hour and a half, nowadays I've learned not to drive home. So I either stay with friends, which is fun too, or I just book a hotel. But for the shorter distances, no such thing. I tell myself, no, I do it. So I have learned to look at clues in the dark, since the road looks differently in the dark as opposed to the day. And they don't tell you how to learn to drive in the dark. I remember the first time I started driving in the dark was when I just had my driver's license, and they sent me far away in the east of the country, and they don't have any lantern poles there. Fortunately, I was in a traffic jam, so I learned to drive on the back lights, on the tail lights of the car in front of me. So that was a good way. But you know, when it's like 2 or 3 at night, there are no tail lights. There are not a lot of cars, and then you have to look for other clues. So again, I'm stubborn enough to say I am going to learn it. I don't care how it's going to work out. I am going to learn this. Does it take courage? In some areas, yes, absolutely. And also in that one, because my physical reactions can still be there. My physical reaction can still be, oh my God, there is a bend. And how's the road going to? Yeah, I know it's going like this. Yeah. And then I need to tell myself, yeah, so you're not going to drive off the road all of a sudden. And then below the road, there are other roads from the village nearby, and those go straight ahead. No, we look at the road in front of us, not the other one. But I needed to tell myself that sometimes the not so obvious things, or better said, the things which do not matter, which are destructive, which are I want to say distracting, but that's not what it is. Um, Distracting, yes, that's the word I was looking for. Which are distracting me are not necessarily the ones where I need or want to look at. And later on I realized it had to do with shifting gear. When you shift gear, you can go back, and then when you go into the bend, into the curve, then you can actually slow down pretty much easy. But then when you only have a brake pedal, then you need to do it with that part, and that's always a little bit differently. Having said so, yes, I still drive at night. I still drive when it rains. And I just try to look for better solutions. So I try to improve myself every time, again and again. But I don't give up. I don't give in. Now, when it comes to other things, there is this thing which we call fatigue. I love that term. Didn't come up with the word fatigue either. Brendan did. But I think he's right. When we want to do something which is challenging, we often suddenly suffer from fatigue. we're like, no, I'm not tired. Not now. No, I don't have the stamina for it. No, I don't have whatever it is. And I could say I have a lot of those excuses, or I could have. Why? Because, I do have something called EDS, hypermobility. And yes, that causes literally fatigue. And if I'm out of luck, it also causes a lot of pain. So fortunately, I'm not in pain 24/7, but I need to be careful with what I do because otherwise I will be. And I know what it's like because been there, done that, got the shirt, don't want the shirt anymore. So just so you know. Getting back to the fatigue. So basically, it's a way from the subconscious to say, don't want to do it. But here's the thing, we train ourselves, we teach ourselves. So if we teach ourselves we give in or we give up, then there's this saying, how we do one thing, we do everything. Of course, it's not that black and white, but for the majority of things, it's true. And if we tend to give in to too many things, then do you think that the subconscious mind is going to believe us? Well, let me tell you, it won't. It's just done. And that's the entire thing. We need to teach our brain that we actually do follow up, that we do push through, that we are consistent. And well, like I'm being consistent when it comes to my ankle and my knee and whatever else, the muscles of my upper leg, even though they're in good shape now. Yeah, I'm glad I can say so. I've done a lot of hard work for it, including playing double bass drum. Yeah, I like playing drums. It's something that I really wanted to do for a long time. So, and once I got out of the house, that's what I could do. So when Joe says you've come a long way after damaging your ankle and then your knee, so she is so right. She is so right. And I don't know if she even knows the entire story, because I think most of my joints at one point or another were hurting, and sometimes even for years. And she says, oh, yes, you do love your drums. Yes, she knows. I do. I do. I'm inspired by this guy called Eric Carr. He's no longer alive, but when we talk about role model, he's one of the role models out there. And not just for me, I might add. So getting back to everything combined. Do you remember at the beginning of this live, I said, I've been posting consistently since December 1st, and this is about the 50th day. And at first I thought, I cannot do this. But I've known for years now that consistency is my major problem. So even though Evan Carmichael has helped me a lot, he cannot help me as long as I'm not consistent. If I don't post consistently on YouTube, then it won't be seen. If I don't add my videos at the end with an end card, then people won't click on there. And apparently I actually forgot something else, which I still need to do because YouTube doesn't automatically go to the next one. So there is a lot involved in recording those videos and getting people to see them. The same applies when it comes to marketing and posting on social media. If I don't post regularly, then people won't see me. I need to be out there in order for them to be able to find me. So I learned a lot of things about being consistent with my thumbnail. So that's that little thing that you see when you look at a video. I have a certain type of letters. I have a certain type of colors. So you should be able to recognize me straight away. So it's when you see that pin up there in the corner, she's got blue hair. Well, that's what I've got too. She's got an earpiece in. She actually has a piercing up there, even though you can't really see it, but she does have it. And she also has the two swallow tattoos. See, actually, the one who made the pin up for me was the one who actually tattooed these on my arm. She's no longer around. She decided to opt out, which I can understand. It's one of the hardest things because she was so kind and so creative, and she was funny too. So, and she didn't mind saying what it was all about. So, you got an earful when she meant it. And she has drawn the one. I said, I'm always wearing gloves, even during the summer, which is true because of my fingertips. They tear open easily. And back in the days, I was still walking with crutches. Now I'm only doing so every now and then. So, I'm good to go. But unfortunately, I have to admit, I had to use them this summer. And hopefully I'll be done with them again. Yes, I needed to reposition that one. Yeah, but that's the way it is. And it's about not giving up, but going on. And when it comes to the marketing, one of the things that I couldn't do and that I've been struggling with for months, well, actually longer, is I'm doing these challenges, right? You know that I'm telling you about these challenges. So the next one is going to be the last weekend of the month, because I'm going to do them all at the last weekend of the month. That's easy to remember. And like I said, I've been posting consistently now. And I also wanted to do so on YouTube. So I'm using the longer format videos I'm posting on Instagram, which of course always have to be shorter than an hour. I use them when they're longer than 10 minutes to post on YouTube. Yeah, there's some mathematics behind it all. Didn't know it until I started working with Evan Carmichael. Having said so, I was like, okay, but how can I do it so I post regularly again? And then it was like, yeah, I need to go live again. And I probably told Cheeky Joe that over and over again, I need to go live again. So whereas it stopped when we went to Chicago for the first time, she must have noticed. She cannot tell me if she did. If she indeed noticed that I was consistent when it came to the group coaching and the one-on-one coaching. But the one thing I wasn't consistent in was going live like I'm doing now. So today I announced that every Friday from now on, I'm going to be live. And actually, that feels kind of good. And the reason is, again, consistency so people can find me. But getting back to the challenge, if I want people to subscribe to the challenge, there needs to be a page on the website where you can go to so you can get your freebie, which usually is PDF, because for some reason people love PDFs. So here I am, and I'm learning that every time I go live, I make my framework, but I also create my PDF, and then hopefully, no, not hopefully, that's not the right word. Trying is not the right word either. What I said to myself is, okay, now that I'm going live, I can easily create a blog post because I know what I talked about when I went live, right? So, and then it all makes sense. So I'm still struggling, learning how that platform works, but I'm getting there. And when we talk about courage, when we talk about consistency, when we talk about clarity, when we talk about speaking up, all those things that I stand for, then I need to show others that I'm authentic. Blue hair, remember? Yes, I've got my Chicago shirt here. You can see in the corner over there is my travel buddy, Chief Rockstar, which was born on September 21st or 23rd. Oh, no, I don't know. Cheeky Joe must know. And he usually is with me. He's attached to my backpack like all the other little ties and things are, which are related to my travels. And, it makes people laugh. So I love it when Chicago PD UK chief rockstar. Yes, she has Void Bear from Chicago PD. So that's kind of funny. But well, I could say, no one walks around with a bear on their backpack. But actually, the inspiration came from those teddy bears, which are dumped in containers, and then when they pick up the trash, a lot of trucks, they actually put those bears or other toys in front of their truck. So combined with I'm sorry, I'm reading something from Joe. I'll tell in a bit. So combined with already having all these things attached to my backpack, including Starbucks tumblers, the little ones, well, you basically can see what I stand for. And that's how Chief Rockstar got to be on my backpack too. Oh, she wanted to say Chicago. Yeah, of course. She has this Chicago PD UK fan page. She's from the UK, yes. So that's why it all mingled a little bit. Anyway, to get back to this whole model, when we talk about mindset, it influences what we do. It influences a lot of what we do on a subconscious level. So if we want to share our message about how we overcame things, we also need to share and tell ourselves and reprogram ourselves by giving ourselves a different message. So it's a message for the outside world, but also for ourselves in our inside world. And that means that when it comes to courage, we need to tell ourselves, let's go do it again and again and again, no matter how hard it is, no matter how tedious it is. It's about taking action, but one step at a time. We don't have to do it all straight away, as long as we keep doing it and are moving forward. And that way, we can be a role model out there for others when we share our message. So that's my message for what happened last week. Oh, and here's Joe. I never liked Starbucks until we went to Chicago. Yeah, she was like Costa. And I was like, I don't know. I started drinking coffee when I went to Starbucks. So that's where I had my first vanilla latte. And basically, I drink milk with a little bit of coffee in there. And I don't even drink the cow milk, but all the other variations. So anyway, it's going to be a week before I go live again, which is going to be the 3-day challenge. And I'm not sure how, but I want to get something out there like a PDF or something for those who have registered for the challenge. So those who register will get something in their mailbox every day leading up to the challenge, which is a challenge for me because do you remember when I talked about the whole marketing thing? Well, when we get to that platform, it's not only about getting that page out there where people can go to, it's also about setting up the whole email system. And then comes the chaotic part and the fatigue, and I don't want to do it. Well, I better, because like I said, it's also about training my brain. And how I do one thing, I do not everything, but most things. So if you want to join, go to ladylexy.com courage challenge. I'll make sure that it's underneath the video too. But you basically spell it, Lady Lexy is already there.com and then /courage challenge. It's not much more difficult than that part. And then be there on Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'll be going live an hour each day to finish up the month strong before we go to the next topic. And I would love to hear from you what you run into, what you would like to have more of when it comes to courage and how that would help you in your life. So I actually have this sheet which is related to this one topic, that one thing you want to work on. And that's going to be included in the package. if you sign up. You get another one first, but the other one is in the mix too. So please sign up, show up. It's nice for me because then I get energized and then I know what I'm doing it for. And, you know, just to end with the thing about courage and perfection, it's not about me being perfect, but if I can help one person out with my message out there, no matter how tired or sloppy I look or not at my best, but they get that message and it prevents them from doing something to hurt or harm themselves or others, well, that's a huge win. Now, what is it you want to focus on? What is it you need courage for? Let me know and sign up ladylexy.com/courage challenge. And I'll see you again next week.